Whoa, we got a really nice split screen situation.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fandom News Now. While our producer, Sean, makes sure that we've got all our ducks in a row, I'm just going to say a quick reminder that this is a Fandom Empire exclusive, and we're very excited to have you along for the ride. It's going to be a really awesome show tonight. I'm Zach Arnold, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the program. Just recently got all of the major social media platforms locked down on the username Zach the Voice. So ZACH the Voice you see down there, go hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You'll find me on all those different places. But not right now, because we got stuff to talk about right now. And there's going to be a lot to cover. So I'm glad you're here with me, Sean, because this would probably be way too much for me to try and cover all by myself. A lot of Marvel stuff, some trailers and teasers that have come out, some casting news, and we even got a little birthday to celebrate today at the end of the program. So let's go ahead and get right into it. One of the big topics that came up within the last 48 hours, it's been trending on a lot of different social media platforms, and we're excited to be talking about it. The announcement that Sony and Disney have officially reached a multi-year deal that's going to go through several years and several different iterations as far as what gets published when and where. We mentioned Sony had signed a recent deal with Netflix, but now that they've got this deal with Disney, they may have to restructure and reword it a little bit. According to Variety, the wide-ranging deal, which runs through Sony's 2026 theatrical slate, also calls for Sony's titles to run across Disney's array of streaming and linear platforms. That includes Disney+, Hulu, FX, ABC, Disney channels, and Freeform. It also includes a significant number of library titles that will be spread throughout those various outlets. Hulu will gain access to what Disney described as a significant number of library titles starting in June. Sean, the biggest piece that comes on the heels of this news is that we're going to be getting the Tobey Maguire and the Andrew Garfield movies on Disney Plus at some point. Many would expect it to be as soon as June, when those significant number of library titles start rolling in.
I feel like, I know this is a distribution deal, but I feel like there's more at play here, man. And I think we've all known there's been more at play for quite some time. Something in the not too distant future is going to happen with Tom Holland's Peter and Miles Morales and all that, and the Venomverse. And to me, this is just the breadcrumbs leading to the end of the trail.
It's definitely one of the biggest pieces that we've needed to try and put all of these things together. But there is some other stuff that has happened, and we're going to get to that in just a second, that also kind of reaffirms our assertions that we have made over the recent months here on this channel and over at my other podcast, the IPC podcast. We've speculated on this a little bit. The idea of the Venomverse and the multiverse, and just having those three Spider-Men all in the same movie seems to be more and more a done deal with the type of negotiations that have been going on. But we may be getting ahead of ourselves because there's some other stuff to talk about tonight. Following up on that Variety article, the agreement comes on the heels of Sony's output deal with Netflix for titles in the lucrative post-theatrical release Pay One window. The Disney deal, the article says, covers subsequent TV windows, meaning that the titles will land on Netflix first, about 9 months after the start of a film's theatrical run. Disney is scooping up for multiple platforms the windows previously reserved for ad-supported cable and broadcast airings of movies. The Netflix and Disney deals also run for the same license term. So Netflix's deal is through 2026. Disney's deal with Sony is also through 2026. So it sounds like Netflix will get them first, and then anything that comes after that post-theatrical run will revert to the Disney stations like FX, Hulu, and Disney+.
Makes sense to me. Again, I think we're only seeing this because of something bigger coming down the pipeline creatively. So, and considering we're 2 years removed from, sorry, the dog is losing it up there. 2 years removed from Tom Holland, having to exit the Disney Plus universe, or the Disney universe, the MCU, because they couldn't come to an agreement. And he was up on stage and he was sad about it. And then here we are, and it seems like everybody's got their ducks in a row.
Well, and having this sequence of ducks lined up just seems to indicate that another deal is possibly in the works to be able to continue the movie rights, the movie creation rights. If they are signing deals for the movie distribution rights, it seems only likely that those types of movie creation rights are on the horizon as well. We got a question in the chat asking about if they're going to be using de-aging technology on Tobey Maguire, or will he be an older Peter Parker? While that has not been confirmed, technically Maguire hasn't even been confirmed in the new Spider-Man movie yet. However, one of his villainous counterparts has all but been confirmed. Even though neither Sony nor Disney has actually made the announcement yet, Alfred Molina himself, while promoting a different movie, has actually spilled the beans that he is going to be reprising his role as Doc Ock in Spider-Man No Way Home. And according to the interview, he says it's going to pick up from, quote unquote, that moment in the river. So picking up in this third installment of Spider-Man from where the second oldest installment of Spider-Man began. That is a pretty interesting and juicy tidbit. And with the confirmation that Jamie Foxx is going to be back, we've got two villains from two different universes confirmed for this movie that's in a completely different universe. That in and of itself is pretty exciting.
I mean, let's be real. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in this film. It's how much they're in the film remains to be seen. Put this under rumor, not confirmed. But this is the second time Luis has showed up saying, "Hey, Sean, remember me?" Yeah, I think so. I think I remember you from back in the day. Sorry, there's 2,000 people that subscribe, or almost 3,000 people that subscribe to this channel, so it's hard to remember everybody. For all I know, you're a troll. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, I from what I've heard anyway, it sounds like Andrew Garfield's role in the movie is bigger than Tobey Maguire's. Which would make the
impression that I've gotten.
Yeah, which would make sense because Garfield's probably the easier one to lock down in terms of contractually speaking. So I'm stoked about Alfred Molina. How fucking incredible of an actor is he? Just brings his A game in basically everything he's in. I'm really stoked about this movie. I'm just worried that, if Garfield's in the movie for, let's say, 15 minutes and Toby's in the movie for, say, 7 minutes, that might not be enough for some people because it's been the worst kept secret in the world, right? So,
considering how much crossover we got from the animated film into the Spider-Verse, having glorified cameos in real life would definitely be a bit of a letdown, but we'll have to wait and see. Continuing with the interview from Molina, he said, when we were shooting it, we were all under orders not to talk about it because it was supposed to be some big secret. But, it's all over the internet. I actually describe myself as the worst kept secret in Hollywood. But going back to the question about de-aging technology, it is going to be used for Alfred Molina's character. So it's not outside the realm of possibility to be used on Maguire, although I would kind of doubt it. But we'll see. He says in the interview, I don't have the same physicality that I had 17 years ago. That's just a fact. Then I remembered that it's the tentacles that do all the work, which sounds like something straight out of a cheap hentai porno movie, but we'll let the tentacles and the de-aging technology do all the work for Mr. Molina. But with that interview and that confirmation, he is all but for sure going to be in this film, reprising his role as Doc Ock. And another character reprising role that popped up over the course of the last week. We try and cover everything from when our last episode happened until now. So some of this news could be as old as 5 or 6 days old because it happened within the last 7 days. But late last week, there was some confirmation from an inside source that Jon Favreau is going to be taking time off of The Mandalorian just long enough to make an appearance in this third Spider-Man film. He was in Far From Home, and obviously we know him from 2008's Iron Man and so forth. But Happy Hogan is coming back for Spider-Man 3. And correct me if I'm wrong, but a 2021 return of Hogan would make him one of, if not the longest appearing character played by the same actor in the entirety of the MCU.
I believe it makes him the longest.
I was going to say one of, if not the longest. I don't have official confirmation from that, but I mean, taking into account
Pepper pops up again.
Taking into account Norton playing Banner and then switching over to Ruffalo, taking into account that people like RDJ and Chris Evans are kind of taking steps back, unless they make an appearance in a flashback or a cameo of some kind, which I highly doubt, then that means Favreau and his character will be the longest tenured character in the MCU.
So I'm thrilled with this. I love Happy. I love Favreau. I love that character. I thought it was one of the best parts from Far From Home. I would like to point out that his role has actually already been filmed. And they're just starting to film Mando season 3 now. So I don't think the two crossed over. He probably had to leave pre-production for a bit. I'm worried he's not going to have a big enough role, though, obviously, because of how insane. Favreau has The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic if it doesn't get axed. Plus he has this movie. Plus he has his TV show Chef. It's kind of like, dude, take a breather. Not to mention he's supposed to have been an advisor on Kenobi, too. So it's like, wow,
This guy has been all over the place. And it's kind of funny that, this is when he's peaking. He got started. You know how he got started? He got started as a young, up-and-coming 30-somethings actor who had never directed before and somehow talked his way into the director's chair for a certain Christmas film called Elf. And the rest is history. To go from directing a Christmas flick to now doing all of the things that he's doing right now, just major props to Favreau. He has made great strides in the industry, and he's proving himself time and time again.
For sure. He's one of the busiest guys in Hollywood, and doesn't just pop out quantity, but rather quality.
Very true. And speaking of quality, we got a pretty quality teaser trailer from Shang-Chi. Did you get a chance to watch that earlier this week?
I have. I mean, I don't know much about... sorry, what's it called again? I don't want to butcher the name here.
So it could be Shang, it could be Shang, depending on what the pronunciation should be. Yeah. I want to say Shang-Chi just because I'm a Southerner, but it might be Shang-Chi.
I have said Shang-Chi before, but I'm positive I've heard people say Shang-Chi, so I don't know. But for
when the movie releases,
a property that I don't know much about, it ended up being a really nicely put together trailer. Is it something that I'm gonna pay $30 to get in premium video on demand? Probably not. But the trailer at least piqued my interest, and I think that's all you can ask out of a trailer.
Yeah, I mean, it shows Simu Liu's character, also known as the Kung Fu Master and the Brother Hand in the comics, finding himself summoned by his father, Tony Leung, who is going to be playing the actual Mandarin. It's yet to be determined, of course, if they're actually going to make reference to the Mandarin character that appeared in Iron Man 3. Obviously, it's the MCU, so there could be some sort of reference or some sort of discussion that happens. But this is going to be the actual Mandarin, the one from the comics, the one that everybody wanted to see about 8 years ago. And we're finally getting to see the actual Mandarin. We're also going to be seeing Awkwafina making her MCU debut. although she's already been a part of the Disney family, having just recently playing the voice of Sisu in Raya and the Last Dragon. So a lot of Asian representation in this film with Liu and Lung and Aquafina, and so far everything seems to be very well received and off to a good start. So the film is due on September the 3rd, and I'll probably end up seeing it in the theaters if I use my AMCA list, but I'm with you. A $30 to $40 video on demand, probably a little too steep for my liking.
Yeah, I mean, up here it's really the only option in Canada right now. So it's you gotta either do that or not see it right away. So because theaters aren't even remotely close to being open up here. So
yeah, it's not permanent, dude. That's all I can say. This is not a permanent fixture, but I do empathize with you guys because I got stuck at home in the snow for like 3 days in a row. And I got stir crazy after like a day and a half. So you all have way more fortitude to be able to endure not just the cold weather, but endure a lockdown in the cold weather. Like those are just combinations that I don't think I'd be able to put up with for very long.
Third lockdown in 14 months up here, so it's or 13 months. So yeah.
Well, some other trailers of interest. We got a teaser trailer for season 3 of Camp Cretaceous, a Netflix exclusive. I am a pretty big fan of this show. I've been really intrigued by what they've done with the Jurassic franchise, blending it with, accessibility to kids, but also enough entertainment properties for adults to really, take in the action and the mystery that they've got in there. It's a pretty solid show, and that trailer dropped today. And it was either today or yesterday we also got a trailer for The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. And I know you've at least seen one of those two, but I don't really know what to make of The Devil Made Me Do It. As high praise as I would have for Shang-Chi or Camp Cretaceous, I would probably have opposite critiques of The Devil Made Me Do It, unfortunately.
I loved the first Conjuring movie. The second one had a few redeeming qualities, but it really didn't feel like the first movie to me at all. And maybe it wasn't supposed to, but it really made me fall off. And I actually didn't mind this trailer. I think the trailer looks decent for The Conjuring 3. However, how many good trailers or good posters have we seen for bad movies? The answer is a lot. So I don't have my hopes up yet.
Well, I'm very unfamiliar with the franchise, but the things that I saw just didn't really grab me the way other things have grabbed me. So I see you're taking action in something that I was about to send you a message on.
Yep.
So
Yep.
That's appreciated.
No worries.
We got some other stuff from the Marvel universe that we're going to talk about. I was just mentioning the other trailers because I was talking about trailers from the MCU, but I mean, there's just a ton of Marvel stuff going on. There's still 2 more Marvel articles to talk about. We're almost 20 minutes into this show and we're doing all Marvel stuff so far. What the hell? These ones aren't going to be as long. There was just a quote that came out during a brief interview with Marvel producer Nate Moore, who said that Loki, quote, lends itself to multiple seasons, end quote. Unlike limited series like WandaVision and The Falcon and Winter Soldier, his implication seems to be that depending on the success of this first season, the storytelling in Loki avails itself to possibly getting a season 2 or beyond.
I find that interesting because I literally just heard yesterday that Falcon and the Winter Soldier could get a season 2, and it's something that they're exploring. So, to me, I didn't see all of WandaVision. I only seen 2 episodes of it. I wasn't really into it, but again, I only gave it 2 episodes. I've loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I think I'll love Loki. So if it's quality, basically movies for TV, or movies turned into miniseries, I'm for more, man. I've really enjoyed it.
Well, all that is still TBD, I suppose, but it gives me hope that maybe one of these shows could end up finishing on a cliffhanger. WandaVision kind of tied itself up in a neat little bow, and we're setting things up for a very impressive culmination with the end of the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Depending on how that final episode plays out, it could be really interesting. But I'd be intrigued to see something like Loki end on a cliffhanger. I really would. One more piece of Marvel news, I promise. This is it. Emilia Clarke. We're big fans of the Game of Thrones franchise, you and I, Sean, and Daenerys Targaryen is set to make an appearance in the MCU. It's a show called Secret Invasion that is supposed to begin filming this fall, which, by the way, Hawkeye just finished filming. I saw a post from Jeremy Renner on Instagram not too long ago that he did his last day of shooting. So they are about to wrap or have already wrapped the Hawkeye series, and they're turning around and getting ready to film Secret Invasion this fall. It's also starring Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn, and Kingsley Ben-Adir has been cast as the villain. The series is said to follow a group of shape-shifting aliens who have been infiltrating Earth for years. Kyle Bradstreet is attached to write and executive produce, and Kevin Feige's unit is producing the series for Disney Plus, as it does all the other MCU titles. So this is another Disney Plus original coming out probably summertime of next year, depending on how long post-production takes. And it's going to have Emilia Clarke, Samuel L. Jackson, and Ben Mendelsohn as the top three build. So I think that should be a pretty interesting lineup and a pretty interesting continuation of some of the stuff that we've seen in both WandaVision and Captain Marvel.
I'm ashamed to admit I had no idea the series existed until about 2 days ago. So I don't know. It's one that slipped under my radar, man, but I'm excited.
Well, I would recommend finishing up WandaVision because there are some pretty significant ties to Captain Marvel and some of the Samuel L. Jackson components of the MCU in the tail end of that series. So it's not just about Wanda and Vision. It kind of branches out a little bit the deeper into the show you get. So definitely worth looking at for that comprehensive world building that Marvel is so famous for. But yeah, Daenerys Targaryen, a.k.a. Emilia Clarke, making her way to the MCU now. Congratulations to her.
Yep.
Switching gears, but also keeping on the Disney Plus platform, Rian Johnson had an interview with USA Today's Sarah Wilson and has expressed interest in directing an episode of The Mandalorian, even to the point that he has spoken to Dave Filoni about it. He said he was dying to, but for him it's all about scheduling. He just finished writing Knives Out 2 and now is going directly into filming it. So it would be a matter of finding time to break away and do it. But the discussions are there. The possibility is there. It's just, can we get everybody on the same page?
I'm completely fine with Rian Johnson directing a Star Wars project, even The Mandalorian. Don't let him write it, though. So far, only Filoni and Favreau have written them, and it should stay that way.
You know, dude, the more I watch The Last Jedi, the more I see it as the product of a broken trilogy. When you put Rian Johnson into the middle of the trilogy, he wasn't really sure exactly how to pick up and carry what J.J. Abrams started. And then when you go back to Rise of Skywalker, it was tough for J.J. to pick up the stuff that Rian had introduced.
Almost like it falls on the person in charge for not having a good plan in place.
I think it fell on both of them. I feel like there's blame on both sides, in my opinion, but I'm not going to get into too deep of a Star Wars discussion. The point being, there's still a lot of great visual imagery. There's still a lot of compelling storytelling that happens. It just didn't seem to fit in the overall trilogy that was being told. Rian seems to avail himself better to situations in a standalone story. Knives Out is not built around anything else. It's a completely original story. And in my opinion, it's one of the best original stories as far as mysteries and such goes in the last decade. And if he's able to have like a standalone opportunity to do something on Mandalorian, you know, one of those breakaway episodes that kind of touches on the overarching story, but also kind of goes on its own adventure, I think it could definitely have some real potential.
Yeah, again, like if he's going to direct, I'm fine. Writing, no. And in terms of the trilogy, by the way, I think Rian Johnson has been wonderful in the past. I love Looper. Brick is great as well. Knives Out's an Academy Award-winning film, and he wrote that. But some people can't write Star Wars, and I think he's one of them. And like honestly, if I could go back in time, man, I just I always thought I would think The Last Jedi was just horrendous, and I basically do feel that way, but never did I think that I would feel basically the same way about the following movie, and I do. Like it's anyway. I feel like banging my head off my mic.
Moving along, we'll go to another franchise because we're already getting short on time here. We're almost a half hour into this, and we've still got 3 more things that we're going to talk about. 2 of them pertaining to the Lord of the Rings franchise, and then for you Halloween fans, you've been very patient. We do have a Halloween tidbit to share with you at the end of the program. But looking at stuff from Lord of the Rings, it was announced earlier this week that they have canceled the production on their MMORPG game. And it's really, really unfortunate because according to a Bloomberg report, there was actually a disagreement between Amazon and Tencent, which is the media company that acquired another company called Leyou in December. There's like this whole group of project runners that are trying to bring this to life. And an Amazon spokesperson confirmed that in light of the recent Tencent purchase, quote, "We have been unable to secure terms to proceed with this title at this time." So it's an unfortunate disagreement of too many cooks in the kitchen. At this time seems to imply that they could try and pursue it a little bit later once the dust settles. But for now, the Middle-earth, massively multiplayer online role-playing game has been canceled, which is pretty unfortunate because given my experiences with things like World of Warcraft and RuneScape, having something like that set in Middle-earth sounded pretty badass.
I think it had potential for sure, but whenever you got, many chefs in the kitchen, I'll end this one to Halloween. Like, Halloween's just a horror slasher movie, and yet there's so many different parties that are involved in it. You got Trancas, you got Blumhouse, you got Universal, you got Gordon Green's company. It's what took this movie so long to come out. They probably could have followed up Halloween in 2018 with another film in 2019, but too many chefs in the kitchen. You have to agree on things, and if you don't, then you have no project, movie, game, TV show, doesn't matter.
Speaking of TV show, without looking at the notes, have you been keeping up with the production cost of this first season of Amazon's Lord of the Rings TV show?
Can I give my blunt opinion on this?
I'm curious how blunt you're going to get.
Utterly ridiculous. Not sustainable, not even for Amazon. And enjoy your one season, because unless the costs come down, there won't be more. I think it's a lot of people go, "Oh, there's Amazon, $1 trillion company," but companies don't work that way. It's not like, hey, the company makes trillions of dollars, so we can just take whatever amount of money we want. The costs have gotten out of hand, and you've seen it on other movie projects that, like Blade Runner 2049. I don't know if you had a chance to see it or not.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
The original production budget was not $250 million. Mm-hmm. The cost got way out of hand with Denis Villeneuve's vision, and the marketing didn't live up to it. And again, I've only seen Lord of the Rings one time. I really enjoyed it. I want to go back and see the extended editions because I think I've only seen the extended edition of the second movie. I think it is.
Okay.
What's that? The Two Towers.
Two Towers.
Yeah, so I've seen the extended edition of that one. And like for Lord of the Ring fans, enjoy it, but my God, you can't sustain that price.
For those of you who haven't seen what the production cost is, it is roughly $465 million in US dollars.
Before marketing.
before marketing. Right. They haven't even put out posters or done trailers or items or products or anything. Just the cost of the program alone, $465 million. That's bigger than most movie budgets, all movie budgets. And it is almost 5 times the budget that Game of Thrones had for each of their seasons. And Game of Thrones was pretty much a theatrical type budget.
It was low budget for the first 2 or 3 seasons too. Like that budget equals almost what the series cost. The series is a little more than that, but like that alone should be pretty telling. I'll say this though, I want to backtrack on one thing. I don't know if Amazon would ever allow this to happen. If they're allowed to do some sort of theatrical event, like a one night only or a 1 week only, for each episode or something where they can make their money back more, then I'm not as worried about it. But if it's just streaming services, what about you, man? You're into all this stuff. Does that worry you a lot, like from a business side of things, not a fandom side of things?
Business side of things, it absolutely concerns me. I'm with you that it does not feel sustainable at all, because let's say you're doing a 10 or 12 episode season, which is kind of the norm for something that's got this high of a production value. I think The Witcher was 13 episodes. Game of Thrones was never more than 10. So for the most part, you're kind of looking at the 10 to 12 region, and that would probably equate to anywhere from $40 to $46 million per episode. 40 to 46 million per episode. The first season of Game of Thrones was only 6 million per episode. It is just an outrageous proportion. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42.
8 times?
7.
7 times?
7 times the budget that Game of Thrones had for their first season. And if it doesn't live up to that type of hype and that type of production, then yeah, it's probably only going to be one season, and maybe there's only one season's worth of story to tell, and that's why they're putting all of their eggs in this one basket. But it seems unlikely.
Unless they're going to pull a trump card.
What I feel good for are the Australian and New Zealand governments that are like outsourcing all of these jobs and giving people all of this work. This money's going right into their pockets. This is like their revenue for the next year, probably, coming in from Amazon.
Unless they pull a classic Lord of the Rings thing and you think it's one season, but in reality, the reason it's taken so long is they filmed 3 seasons for $465 million. And they drop like a bombshell on everybody like that. And it's like, then that's different. But
I mean, if they did, even if they did 2 seasons, I could forgive them a little bit more. Where they shot all of the Hobbit films back to back.
Yep.
They just signed them up for like a 2.5 year contract, and they just shot one and started like working on the post production. While they were on the post production of the first one, they were shooting the second one. Like,
I think they did that for Lord of the Rings as well.
Yeah. So if they're doing something like that where they're working on multiple things at once, then cool. But I don't know, man. To have reports coming in saying $465 million, that's just crazy.
Bad time to be spending that much money, too, especially if you don't intend to have any theatrical release.
Oh, absolutely. So that one's intriguing. We'll definitely be keeping our eyes on that one, especially be keeping a lookout for anything related to promotional materials or anything related to, more casting announcements or anything like that. And you can know exactly where to find it right here on Fandom News Now. So hit that subscribe button, tune in every Thursday, and if there's more updates from the Marvel Universe or from the Lord of the Rings universe or even the Halloween universe, we've got a little bit of Halloween news to close out the night, don't we, bud?
Yeah, I would say it's more gaming news than Halloween news, but if you're a Halloween fan or if you're
still part of the franchise,
if you're a Dead by Daylight fan, they have a bunch of horror movie characters. They're rumored to be giving that game an update late summer, early fall, and 2 of the rumored characters to be coming to the game. Now, this is not official, rumor, so that when a bunch of trolls come and quote me later on, I at least have Zach and Kieran here to be like, he said rumor. but it does come from a source that I trust, is it sounds like Dr. Loomis will be a playable character in the game soon, and that there may be an updated version of Michael Myers coming, and that's good because the one that's in the game now is terrible. It looks just atrocious. So desperately needed. If you're Dead by Daylight fan, be on the lookout for that in summer or fall if the rumor becomes fact.
Well, we're pretty keen on keeping up with things that are rumors that could end up becoming official. Technically, Alfred Molina's casting announcement is just a rumor. Technically, Jon Favreau being in Spider-Man 3 is just a rumor. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of a rumored but trusted sources, and we'll keep tabs on all of that and be sure to provide updates when and if they become available. You can find a lot of Halloween-specific stuff available on the Phantom Empire live show that's happening 2 to 3 times a week now, apparently. Y'all did 3 episodes this week, did you not?
We did a special one on Wednesday where we reviewed the script leak, non-spoilers, for Halloween Kills. And then on Sunday we did a special one too. But I can tell you that right now we're leaning towards no Tuesday show this week. Not for good, just this week. And so you might not see Phantom Empire live again until a week from today. We'll see.
Well, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you get notifications every time there's a new video available, whether it's Fandom News Now or whether it's something else. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, send in a super chat before we finish up for the evening. We do have just like a minute or two for any type of Q&A sections that you've got, so be sure to shoot them in really quickly before we call it a night. I know there's not a whole lot of people listening live, so we're probably going to end up bypassing the Q&A stuff, but hit us up on social media. Go find the Phantom Empire Den. Go find Phantom Empire on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Go find me on social media, Zach the Voice on all of those different platforms. And, if there's something that you want to talk about in between episodes, you can definitely find us on places like that. I do have to make special mention of the day that this episode was recorded, Sean. April 22nd, 2001 was the first public viewing of what became the flagship of DreamWorks Animation Studios. On this day, 20 years ago, we said hello to a grumpy green ogre who wanted to get people out of his swamp.
Wow. I remember seeing that movie for the first time. And it's a reminder of just how old I am.
Oh, me too, dude. I remember seeing it in theaters. And now it is 20 years old. April 22nd, 2001. Happy 20th birthday to Shrek. Next year, first drink is on me, buddy. But I do think probably that's going to do it for all the time that we've got tonight. We're almost 40 minutes into this program already. So follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Keep up with shows like Star Wars shows like Across the Stars. The Rick and Morty fan show is every week here on Phantom Empire. There is primary Phantom Empire Live. And we've got Supernatural and Game of Thrones shows in the works. But, Sean, unless you got anything else, man, I think it's time to call it a night.
Just stay tuned to our socials, and I could be wrong on the date for this. You're not going to want to miss the Fandom Empire Live on May the 4th. I believe it's May the 4th, so Tuesday. Probably going to have a big announcement that day, so.
It'll be a big one. Well, yeah, and there's going to be announcements on the socials probably before that too, perhaps.
Yeah.
So, logistics are still in the works, but deals are being finalized, and it's an exciting time at the Phantom Empire Network. But for now, for Sean, I'm Zach. Good night, everyone. That's been Fandom News to Us.